Hey everybody, Pinstripe here. Welcome back to some more Hogs. Tonight we have some major community news in that Grunt versus Legend, I repeat, Grunt versus Legend, has been achieved. The gameplay that you are seeing on screen right now comes directly from my good friend Herpderp. We've done this before, whereby he achieves something insane. I take the footage and then just talk over it, because everybody has to see this. For many eons, many moons, there has been a constant battle between the lowest rank in Hogs and the highest, Grunt and Legend. I mean, Izzy's there too, but no one really gives a crap about Izzy, right? He's just stood there cowering on top of his head. And you can, of course, tell that this is Herpderp's footage because he's playing as the Sauerkrauts. If it were me, it would be the Garlic Grunts, I know, but we have this entire gameplay to go through, and we're going to be discussing everything as we go, because along with the gameplay coming from Herpderp, a lot of the strategies that have been used in this gameplay have come directly from Amne7ia. So shout out to both of these two. They have achieved a glorious victory, and I'm not going to do my usual play-by-play. I don't want to spoil absolutely everything that happens, because I know in past commentaries I have received feedback from many a viewer who has stated that I tend to do that quite often, where I'll say what happens before it actually happens. So we're going to sit here and watch this together, going through the usual motions at the moment. This guy always takes his TNT, places it, and gets a kill. So immediately off the bat, Herpderp loses Wolfie, which is a massive blow to morale, because Wolfie is his favorite character, but you can see that there are still 3 health crates remaining on the map. So how he's going to devise a plan to, say, collect those and where to hide, because immediately, you know, your first thought is always, how on earth has he or will he achieve this? What on earth is going on? And the easiest way to summarize that is basically by saying through the use of every available strategy known to Hogkind. Now this initial hit is beautiful, because look at that, bounces directly in the middle to get a massive amount of damage from that poison. A total of, what was that, 75 damage there from a single grenade. So positioning is key, poison is key, but positioning again is going to come back around multiple times. And again, I don't want to give anything away too soon, because we'll discuss them as it happens, basically. The play-by-play will be a proper play-by-play, I promise. But Leonard going with the bazooka, landing short but still getting 39 damage on the 100 Grunt. And then we have this dude who's basically a free agent at the moment, as the pillbox has been acquired, which is the next massive help. So poison, positioning, pillbox, we've got the 3 Ps going on apparently. But yeah, the grenade is coming out, and just looking at the contrast, 170 Legend, 20 HP Grunt. But body blocking is the next one. Sadly, it doesn't start with a P, but we have those 4 points in action. And now it's just a case of waiting for the pigs to maneuver themselves into the necessary positions in order for damage to then be dealt. Because, of course, he wants to get every single Legend as close to the water as he can. And if they can guide themselves there, like before he even needs to use a grenade, that's going to be a massive help. But so far, it's all about bazookas. Now, the next question I know that many of you will have, as he does get lucky there from hitting the swill, only 25 damage. Interestingly here, abandoning the pillbox, but don't forget there is a wall climb there, which I struggled to find for some time, but he's coming out to grab the health, and then I'm assuming go back in, and you'll see that wall climb again. We saw it a few moments ago, but it's just here on the ledge. You can see the tiles there allow you to get that jump, and then he maintains the damage. Look at that output. Gets 100 HP, and then immediately hits Yukovsky. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, my first question was actually, well, how on earth do you deal with the airstrike threat? Now, as this is on normal mode, you can at least live in safety for a time, that the air support won't be coming in for a little while. If this was hard mode, you'd immediately be dead, and I do not want anyone to try Grunt versus Legend on hard mode. That no one needs to go through that pain. I should note that it took Herpderp 78 attempts in order to achieve this miracle, within which no save states have been made at all. There is a point in the 18-minute mark where there is a slight cut, but that is me editing the video. The raw uncut footage, I'm sure Herpderp can provide either in the server or on his YouTube channel as well. That will be linked at the end of this video or in the description. Likewise, Amne7ia's will be there too. But as for airstrikes, like I say, that was my first point of call. Like, how on earth, as a grunt, do you deal with that? You've got 3 grenades, and then you've got a rifle. There won't be any bayonet usage in this video, which I know will sadden many a viewer. We like to see the bayonet here and there, but for the time being, it's all about grenades. And at this point, every single legend has taken some form of damage, so he is on his way, slowly but surely, to taking them all down. But yes, the counter to the airstrike will shock you when it comes, but both of these solutions to a lot of the plays and strategies in this video were crafted by the wonderful Amne7ia. So again, I can't stress enough the credit that goes to both of these players, because I'm just a dude that is chatting about it. So yeah, feel free to discuss all the insanity with them after this video, because I honestly just they both deserve many a medal. They really do. But once more, we will see the Pekka's grenade, which is what I'm calling it now, because yeah, it's doing the same tactic as the poison, but with the grenade to nudge him closer to you, keep the body block, and ensure that any legend that is then looking to target that pig will inevitably deal some splash damage onto their own teammate. But for the time being, the pillbox is still the primary target, and that is why it is key to collect it as soon as you can. You saw that at the very beginning of this video, the tactic used, which many players do use when they don't possess a jetpack to get Izzy out of the pillbox, is to use the grenade jump, which then pushes the pig on top. And you really have to ace it first time, because you want to be placing your pig dead center in the pillbox in order for Izzy to then either jump out and be standing on your head, or to jump out, take 1 damage, and still be knocked off anyway, depending on if you're using PAL or NTSC. In this case, it is NTSC, so the moment that he jumps out and is stood on top of your head, he will immediately skip his turn, which is perfect for grunts, because then with that jump, you can get in and steal said pillbox. Now, second hit here with his final grenade, Lederhoss will hit the direct 30, bounces off the wall, not coming in with the poison damage yet, but very, very close. And actually, I think I need to correct myself. I think there is a bayonet usage at one point, and it might be against Big Matt. I did briefly skim through the gameplay, because I didn't want to spoil absolutely everything for myself, so this is a proper full rewatch for me as well. But yeah, I hope to see the bayonet. We don't see it enough. But it's going to be yet another Granada. You'd think maybe he might blast him towards the water. He's thinking about it. Maybe keeping the body block with Tapazuki, but then that would kind of immediately be a direct hit to the face. So instead, he nudges him, gets the poison damage, and that is both of these legends now in the drink. So all of the pigs that aren't in the pillbox are basically cannon fodder. Like, Herpderp knows that they are going to be taken out, as our boy on 20 here gets pushed away. Sadly, no self-damage from the initial explosion as he dies here, which would have been nice. But yeah, it's basically trying to use absolutely every single resource available before the pigs then die. And heavy machine gun included as well. You want to be using all of those resources in the grenades for every single pig as much as they can. That is the primary strategy that you have to go into this final mission thinking about if you want to have any chance of getting anything from this, basically. And that trank is going to be huge against Herpderp, because that pig is one of his healthiest. This guy now all out of grenades, and there it is. There's the trusty bayonet. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. It is just enough, and he even swims away there. 85 and poisoned, so that is now 3 out of the 7 pigs poisoned. Izzy still refusing to move away from the... oh my goodness. Still refusing to move away, and look at that damage there. Gets the extra 7 and a bounce, and back in again. And we have potentially our first skip incoming, down to 15 HP. There's the skip turn. It's all going crazy right now. as there are only 2 of Herpderp's pigs remaining. One in the pillbox, one on the other side, who has just been tranquilized. And this is so very lucky here, because the pillbox is 1 hit away from destruction, but it's basically out of ammunition. So now is the time for Mr. 150 HP to come out, and he immediately looks to go onto the high ground. Now, is this the first time? Yes, it is. We are seeing the corner strat here. This is the very first tactic that I want to talk about, devised by the wonderful Amne7ia, because I have to say, for a map like this that we have played on competitive for so long, it seems like such an obvious thing, but no one seemed to think of it until Amne7ia came along. So there will be another death here, which will mean that it is now a, what's that, a 1v... a 1v6. Mr. 150 HP Grunt versus all of the legends plus Izzy, pretty much. This is absolute insanity. So the corner strat, to spoil it for you, because he positioned himself there just in case he got hit, he is basically using every single corner of the map in order to be out of range of the heavy weapons that the legends hold. That is both the airburst and the bazooka. So again, now using the pillbox for that extra armor, which is a perfect strategy. The airburst comes out. This will be the destruction of the pillbox, but it minimizes the damage onto the friendly pig here, who luckily, very luckily, doesn't go in the poison. If he did, that would basically be this run over. So this is the moment where the corner strats will be coming in handy, because he's going to run to the opposite side of the map. He's going to gain that high ground, and he's going to wait to basically get a free turn. I mean, damage, I think on this next turn will still be incoming, but it should be minimal in comparison to if he were to remain close. So using that distance, as we have talked about many times on this channel as far as defensive strats goes, not quite max damage there on the grenade, but still pushing him down to 64 HP, Yakowski on 100. And again, you're still probably looking at this and thinking, well, how on earth is he going to still achieve this? That's the odds are just not in his favor, but slowly but surely you can think about the poison coming down, and look at this. Immediately only deals 16 damage. So the distance is enough to keep away from the heavy weapon damage, which will be bazookas later on, but also keeping in mind the turn order, keeping in mind just who is going to potentially do what next. Because this next turn here, as he is about to throw his final grenade, thinking about damaging St. Nick, he knows that he could, but the skip is incoming, so he doesn't really need to do anything. I say skip, the skip is almost incoming. Even I forget the turn order, but look at this. Immediately positions himself for the body block, and perfectly gains himself the self-damage, bringing him down to 24. That's another skip incoming, but for now he has to deal with his next target. I say deal. He needs to position himself accordingly, and I believe that it is going to be Izzy. Now, we've been talking about Izzy throughout this as to his position, where he's at right now, and basically body blocking and kind of fooling him into being like, hey, I'm stood right next to you, but the AI... They don't think about what's in front of them. So it's another free turn. It's only 20 onto Yakowski because he's all out of grenades now. All he has is his rifle and trusty bayonet. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe head jumps here, but you do not want to risk falling in that poison water. So he's going to bide his time. Once again, going back up into, I think, the very corner this time. Yeah, just trying to get as much distance as he can away from the enemy. Oh, and my mistake, he still has that single grenade. He's going to trick shot because he's too cool. Sadly, though, it doesn't hit anybody. But you can slowly see these pieces coming together. And look at that distance. It is one corner to the other. And St. Nick is going to position himself into the perfect spot for Herpderp to potentially get another poison, because he's right next to the water. He's not thinking about where he's at. He's on 90 HP, and that is perfect for the final grenade to do something. And even this lands just short. 23, he'll take that. 43 damage total. And he's down to 71 HP, but it is still... It's still 1v6. What is going on? Because of his hard work so far in the perfect positioning, he can now return back towards the other poison pool. Seeing as Saint Nick took his turn, it will be the Frenchie up next, which means that another skip will be incoming. Out comes the rifle, in comes the bullet, in comes the skip, and if you know your turn orders, you will now know that there are 2 skips incoming. As Leonard perishes, finally one of the legends does indeed fall, but it will be Big Matt up next, so that is immediately another skip incoming. So now Herpderp can turn his attention to Saint Nick, who, as I say, is just stood in the perfect spot for this final grenade. Now he needs this to be as perfect can be, needs the full 30 plus the middle damage, and look at that, absolutely beautiful. The spin, not as lucky as it could have been, but down to 34, that is very much dealable as the second legend falls. The numbers are dropping for the enemy, and up next is going to be Jakobski. Now this is the moment where Herpderp knew exactly what to do, and this is the next strat, again devised by Amne7ia to deal with what you might think is coming up next. Jakobski says, screw you, I'm bringing in my airstrike, but look at the position that it is brought in here. The angle is going just away, and if you know the dealio with positioning and sort of water's edges and stuff, you can kind of guess what is happening. Not a single smidge of damage is dealt to this single grunt, and he returns to the battlefield triumphant because he has not taken any damage from the airstrike. Absolutely insane, and even more insane is now using the old school strat of using the swill in order to avoid any incoming further airstrike, because as is the way, the legends, as soon as one of them uses it, most of them will then proceed to use theirs. Now Tapazuki does enjoy his Ephraim compared to the others, but Ephraim is perfect for this job because it will mean that there is no explosive damage, so health is maintained and everything is absorbed by the swill. These next few turns in the next sort of 2 minutes are perhaps the most crucial of this entire run, because if you get them wrong, if you're stood in just sort of the wrong position, then it can mean just the end. You are just a single grunt at this point, and Izzy does not care about your feelings. So he is going to deal, I think, yeah, 34 damage there, but remaining with this swill, as it has tanked a huge amount of hits. But of course, as soon as the swill arm is destroyed, there is then a chance that a crate will drop in, and given the exact swill that is being stood under right now, that crate will in fact be I think the jetpack crate, which is really important for maneuvering pigs around, and in this case it's just really helpful for Herpderp because he can slowly chip away at I think it's Jakobski that is perhaps the most healthy. He is not poisoned. There is the crate drop. He can still collect that, but he still isn't able to go on the offensive just yet because he needs to be he needs to ensure that all of the legends have sort of utilized their airstrikes as much as they feel like, I guess. So he's going to, I think, remain, under the swills here, continuing to skip his turn. Although, seeing as he's within range, he may as well go for the rifle shot. So he does so, and Saint Nick is out of here. That is yet another skip incoming. But before then, we will have yet another turn here from Jakobski, who immediately goes for his final air support weapon. So their air support supply, I guess, is dropping. And as soon as he's able to deal with Tapazuki now, that is when he can breathe a sigh of relief, because the air support will be over, given that the remaining legends are dealt with. So very, very lucky there. That Ephraim, the flame there almost tapping him for 25, but remains alive somehow. And now he can maneuver away from the enemies here, back to the same spot again, because he knows that another airstrike is incoming. Tapazuki does not want to play ball, but before he will perish, he will use this airstrike. And the same thing happens. This spot is just perfect for this strategy. because it will always drop in the water. Again, shout out to Amne7ia. I've said it about 5 times in this video, but credit where credit is due, man. It is the perfect spot to avoid any airstrike damage whatsoever as a single grunt. So time is going to be of the essence now for this German Grunt, as he needs to utilize the full 30 seconds in order to get Jakobski in the right position, because up next it will be Izzy's turn, so he can push him towards that location, again making sure that he can kind of finish the turn with a weapon that he has available. So maintaining the position next to the swill in order to get the swill body block, I guess, and just about getting the hit on Jakobski. If he had missed that, that could have been game over, because every ounce of damage at this point is just massive. But the major benefit now is that it will be St. Nick's turn next, which means that he can turn his attention over to Tapazuki. 75 and poisoned. If he can get a good hit with the jetpack here, plus water damage, if he can bring him down to a skippable range basically, that will be massive. But there is only 11 seconds remaining, and he also needs to make sure that he doesn't kill him, because if he does, that's also self-damage, and yeah, needs to get away from the poison too. So this is where he's perhaps most vulnerable, but like I said, St. Nick's turn equals the skip, so no damage on himself, and we are coming right down to the wire here. So just as we saw earlier, the distance corner strat is going to come in handy once more. It is going to come in absolute clutch. Tapazuki still has a single turn left in his bones, and Jakobski is on 40 HP, so he is still 2 hits away, plus there still needs to be damage dealt to Izzy in order to take him down, and bearing in mind that the Grunt itself is a single hit away via heavy weapons, or 2 hits away via gun weaponry, is massive. And this is a perfect example of the distance here, because even with the full power bazooka, as we have seen in competitive, it just doesn't make it. So once more, knowing that the next legend will be taking his turn, he will maneuver himself into the other corner, again just keeping himself as far away as possible to ensure that no damage will come his way. And it is truly, like I say, the most obvious but the most clever strat you'll see on this final mission. And I love it, I really do, because it really does show the versatility of Hogs. We've seen it many times with this class versus Legend, and knowing that it is possible to just win with a Grunt, knowing it is possible to win with I think with no weapons as well, because I would highly recommend checking out Amne7ia's series, where he does a full playthrough by just using, I think, map crates that are available. Again, you can check out their channels in the description and indeed at the end of this video, because they deserve all the credit for their strategies. And for me personally, as someone who has done a full Grunt playthrough and gotten to the final mission and used the cheesing option of killing Izzy before the legends, seeing this just brings a smile to my face. It really does, because Grunt reigns supreme. Jakobski is down to 1 more hit, and the skip will be incoming on Tapazuki in just a moment. Now, as he still has 1 final jetpack, it means that he can plonk it on top of Tapazuki, get some damage onto Izzy, and I think this is the moment just after killing Jakobski that Herpderp realized what he had finally achieved. After 78 attempts of just insanity, and knowing that the skip is incoming, knowing that he can deal the damage necessary to take out Izzy, it must have been a wonderful feeling, and I commend him for his performance. Both of these players bringing magic to this community, and pure insanity as well, because patience and just the tenacity to continue to try and achieve these victories is highly commendable. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Still plenty more to come from Hogs in future, and indeed plenty more to come from Herpderp as well. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later for the next one.
Right, you putrid porker! You should be proud of your hogs. I've given you, 5 additional promotion points to decorate them with. Are you listening to a word I say? Repeat after me. Minefields are very bad things to wander into. Now, press your button and we will be the richest nation in the world. Just imagine, limitless swill supplies until the end of all time. Oh, God, don't mess it up.